NHL regular season recap, night 118, 11 games on the slate tonight, and we kick things off with a continuation of the Senators' solid play as of late. They win over the Columbus Blue Jackets by a score of 6-3, led by captain Brady Tkachuk. He scores 2 goals in the first and 1 in the second for a hat-trick effort. Other goals from the Senators from Giroux, Ridley Gregg, and Eric Brandstrom on the empty net. For the Blue Jackets, it's Voronkov, Jenner, and Roslovic all scoring in the first and then 2 in the second. Anton Forsberg, his first game back in a while, was actually pretty good, 37-40, while Daniil Tarasov was not very good. He goes 24 for 29 and .828 save percentage in the losing effort. Again, the Sens have been good lately. Despite that, they're still 8th in the Atlantic, and the Blue Jackets are 8th in the Metro, so this game, all in all, didn't mean too much, but good to see the good momentum from Ottawa. It's a 6-3 final. The Bruins taking on the Lightning, and as per usual with these two teams, the game was highly competitive and entertaining. Not super high scoring, but that's not uncommon between these two teams either. Eric Chernak with his first of the year in the first period makes it 1-0 Bolts. Kucherov makes it 2-0 on the power play just a minute and 6 seconds into the second, but Charlie McAvoy less than a minute later makes it a 2-1 game, and before the period would end, JVR makes it 2-2. We have no goals in the third period and none in overtime, but some crazy back and forth action. Both goalies really good, but Andrei Vasilevsky in particular was phenomenal, and in the shootout that trend continues. He stopped all 3 Bruin shots while Braden Point got one past Linus Ullmark, and that was all that was needed for the Bolts to win this one by a final score of 3-2. They sit third in the Atlantic, while Boston, despite the loss, maintains their first place spot. The Avalanche taking on the Washington Capitals, and this was just not a great game from Washington. They gave up 2 goals pretty early here in the first 5 minutes. It's 2-0 Avs. Malenstein would score a few minutes after that to make it 2-1, and McMichael would actually tie it before the first period ended, but then it's Lehkonen and Rantanen both scoring in the second to make it 4-2. Ovi would continue his goal-scoring streak, so that was good to see, 6 in a row for him, but then Lehkonen with his second and Miles Wood with his first, all on the empty net, make it a 6-3 final. Alex Georgiev, 24 of 27 and .889 save percentage, while Lindgren only gives up 4 of the 6 goals, but 31 of 35 for an .886 in the losing effort. The Avs were just the better team tonight. There's really no other way to put it. The Kings visiting Buffalo, and I don't know if the Kings are just cursed when it comes to Buffalo or what, but they lose this one similarly to the way they lost their last game against Buffalo. This time it's 7-0 as the final score. J.J. Peterka, Jordan Greenway, and Kyle Okposo all scoring in the first. Dahlin and Zach Benson in the second, and then Tuck and Greenway with his second scoring in the third. Just not good in this game at all. David Riddick goes 12 for 17. He gets yanked, understandably so, after 2 periods, and then, of course, 2 more goals get let in by Cam Talbot. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, meanwhile, stops all 33 Kings shots. He was the busier of the 3 goalies, but nonetheless gets the shutout, and it's just a brutal game from LA. They looked good in their game against Edmonton, but this is a complete fallback to the way they've been playing previously, and generally a very, very steep step in the wrong direction for them. 7-0 Buffalo is the final. The Canadiens hosting the Ducks in this game did not go all that dissimilarly to the Sabres and Kings game. It's 5-0 Montreal in the final. No goals in the first. Evans Suzuki scoring 2 in the second, make it 3-0 after 2. And then Slavkovsky and then Gignac, I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce his name, with his first. It might be his career first. I honestly don't know. I did not watch a lick of this game. Caden Primo faces just 13 shots, stops all 13 of them. Lucas Distal, very busy on the other hand, faces 38 shots and stops 33 of them. Not a bad effort from him. His team got absolutely caved in, and as a result, they lose pretty big, 5-0 to Montreal. The Leafs hosting the Blues, and this was a fantastic all-around game from Toronto. They score the first 2 goals of the game. Toropchenko scores 1 in the second to make it 2-1, and then Bobby McMann scores 2 in the third to complete the hat-trick effort. He also opened the scoring in the first. William Nylander got his 26th of the year behind Bobby McMahon's first goal as well. Samsonov had to face just 15 shots. The defense for the Leafs was stifling, which is miraculous considering the group of defensemen they have on the ice right now. Morgan Rielly injured, amongst a host of other injuries for these guys, or not injured, suspended, excuse me. Nonetheless, a great win for the Leafs. Sammy with a .933 save percentage and a very quiet night. Binnington wasn't bad in this one. He faced 31 shots, stops 28 of them. It's a .903 save percentage for him, but the Leafs were just the far better team in this game, and they get the win as a result. The Kraken taking on the Islanders, and the Kings of the overtime point strike again in this one. Seattle wins it 2-1 in the shootout. The only 2 goals in regulation belonging to Matty Beniers with just his 7th of the season, and then Kyle Palmieri with his 15th of the season on the power play. Of Of course, nothing in the third period, nothing in overtime. We head to the shootout, and the only goal scorer there is Tomas Tatar, beating Ilya Sorokin. Both goalies, of course, very good in this one as well. Grubauer, 26 for 27, a 963 save percentage in the win. Sorokin, 29 of 30 for a 967, but of course the extra goal against in the shootout gives them the loss. It's a good goalie game, of course, but the Kraken get the 2 points, and that's what's most important here. 2-1's the final. The Devils visiting Nashville, and despite getting scored on first, they end up coming all the way back and winning this one. Ryan O'Reilly scores on the power play with the lone first period goal. Hughes and Tommy Novak, Jack Hughes that being, and Tommy Novak trade goals in the second to make it 2-1 Nashville after 2. But then the Devils come out strong in the third. Nico Hischier, Timo Meier, and a second from Nico Hischier on the empty net all round out the scoring, and it's a 4-2 victory for the Devils. Their first regulation win in Nashville in 15 years. That's pretty astounding, I guess. The Preds have been pretty good for a while. New Jersey, of course, has not been all that good for a while now. So good for them, I guess. I don't know, not a crazy stat, but a little bit surprising. Nico Dawes, 30 for 32, a 938 save percentage in the win. UC Saros was much, much busier. 43 of 46 for a 935 save percentage. Just couldn't get an extra goal support from his team, and because of that, they lose this one. It's a tough loss for them. They're sitting just outside a playoff spot as we stand today, and of course, the West, as we talk about every damn night, is not getting any easier for the Preds. It's 4-2 for the Devils tonight. The Hurricanes taking on the Stars, and talk about a game that had all kinds of star power in it. Both of these teams have been playing very, very well lately, but the Stars get it done tonight. Roope Hintz scores just about halfway through the first to make it 1-0. Jordan Staal, Mason Marchment, and Jesper Fast all score in the second to knot us up after 2 periods, but in the third, it's Jason Robertson and then Matt Duchene on the empty net that makes it a 4-2 final for Dallas. Jake Ottinger looked like an all-star in this game, stopping 32 of 34 for a 941 save percentage. He gets the first star in this one. Robertson with a goal and an assist. Jordan Staal also with a goal and an assist. For Pyotr Kochetkov, meanwhile, not a terrible game, but you'd like to see at least one more save here. He stops just 19 of 22 and 864 save percentage in a losing effort. It seems for Kochetkov that when he's on, and when he's off, it's just like subpar enough that it definitely impacts the game. So you'd like to see a bit more consistency from him, but he's been playing pretty well lately, so hard to complain too much. And of course, this is a Stars team that's very, very good. So it's a 4-2 final for Dallas. It's a solid effort from the Hurricanes nonetheless, but Dallas comes away, of course, with the 2 points. The Canucks visiting Chicago, and not really surprisingly, they take care of business here. It is a little bit closer than I would have expected, just a 4-2 final. Goals from Garland with 2, one in the first, one in the second. Tyler Johnson, Niels Hoglander, Dakota Joshua, and Kevin Korchinski with his third of the season. Thatcher Demko faces just 23 shots, stops 21 of them, a 913 save percentage. Perfectly fine from him. For Peter Mrazek, as usual, the busier of the 2 goalies. He goes 34 for 38, a solid performance despite the 895 save percentage. This is your typical Chicago Blackhawks game. They get outshot by a million. They find a way to keep it semi-competitive, but of course they lose in regulation, which is probably what's best for them. And of course the Canucks remain in first in the Pacific at 36-12-6. Final game of the night, the Oilers hosting the Detroit Red Wings, and this game was wild. So in the first period, it's Draisaitl, Cody Ceci, and Alex DeBrincat all scoring, making it 2-1 Edmonton after 1. In the second, Bouchard makes it 4-2 before Joey Veleno and Patrick Kane both score to tie us up at 4, headed into the third period, at 3, headed to the third period, where it is all Edmonton, sparing a David Perron goal, which at the time made it 7-4. We had goals from Holloway, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, and Kane before Perron scores his 11th of the year, and then Nuge with his 2nd of the game makes it 8-4. Connor McDavid had 6 assists in this game. 6 assists in just 19 minutes of time on ice. He's unbelievable. Stuart Skinner, the busier of the 2 goalies, 34 for 38 and 895 save percentage, identical stats to Peter Mrazek in that last game. Alex Lyon, meanwhile, not a great game for him at all. He goes 22 for 29, a 759 save percentage. That's one of the worst full game goalie performances we've probably seen all year, but it's McDavid. I guess that's going to happen once in a while. Edmonton gets this one done, and they're in third in the Pacific at 31-17-1. That's it for NHL regular season recap, night 118. A pretty entertaining night. Hopefully tomorrow can match it, but a little bit of a lighter slate, so we'll see whether or not that's that realistic. We'll talk to you guys then.